welcome back to the channel. I am yours truly, and today we're going to look at LSU and their 2023 schedule and predict some winners and losers. So stay tuned if you want if you want to see some winners and losers. Now, to give a quick recap of what happened to LSU in 2022, they went 9-3 on the season and won the SEC West. And their biggest win of the season was at home to Alabama. They beat Alabama to pretty much claim the SEC West. They made the title game and got destroyed by Georgia. And then they ended up destroying Purdue in the, what was it, like the Cheez-It Bowl or something like that. They beat them to a pulp. So they ended up finishing their season at 10-3 under a first-year head coach, Brian Kelly. Now, Brian Kelly was not a first-year head coach. In total, he came over from Notre Dame, and he basically got settled in at LSU. So, anyways, let's look at the Vegas Sportsbook odds for LSU in 2023. As we take a look at the numbers for LSU in 2023, I like to look at these Vegas Sportsbook numbers is because it's what the betting public feels like, meaning that these people are willing to put their money where their mouth is, basically backing whatever they are feeling with some money. That kind of explains why I do the Vegas odds in my predictions. So for LSU this year, the over-under win total is at 9.5. Well, you say, well, how in the hell do they win not a half a game? They don't. That's just a Vegas number so that it doesn't end up being tied. What it's saying is that if you're feeling confident that LSU will go 10-2 or better, you bet the over. If you feel that LSU is going to go 9-3 or worse, you bet the under. Pretty self-explanatory. So for the 2023 LSU Tigers to not only make the national title but to win the national title is at plus 1100, which all that means is if you put $100 down, you're going to win $1,100 if LSU wins the national title. Those are the odds are fifth best in the country right now. The only ones with better odds is Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, Georgia. Kind of give you some numbers. And the teams behind them are USC, Florida State, Clemson. You get the picture. So for 2023, the LSU Tigers, as far as winning the SEC, is at plus 450. Like I said, if you put $100 down and LSU wins the SEC this year, you get $450. So those odds are third best in the SEC, right behind Georgia and Alabama. So, anyways, let's look at the schedule for LSU this year. As we take a look at LSU's schedule for 2023, the one thing that kind of speaks out to me is outside of a couple games for LSU, this schedule to me looks like a pretty easy schedule for LSU. Now, of course, they're going to have to play Alabama because they're in SEC West. This is going to be the last year for like West versus East in the SEC, as they're going to get rid of divisions starting next year when Oklahoma and Texas come into the league. But anyways, they get Alabama, but they avoid Georgia, they avoid Tennessee. I think it's a pretty easy schedule for LSU, outside of a couple of games, of course. So anyways, let's pick some winners and losers for LSU in 2023. The first game on the schedule is a neutral site game with Florida State. Now, this game this year is going to be probably a top 5 game, if not a top 3 game on the slate for the opening games for college football in 2023, and there's no denying it. Last year, this game was played in New Orleans. Florida State came away with a squeaker of a win after blocking a PAT. And Florida State won by a point in New Orleans. Now, this year, this is going to be played in Orlando. It's more friendly for Florida State. So, I think this game is a bit of a 50-50 game for both teams. I mean, you wouldn't go wrong if you pick either or team. Unfortunately, I have to pick a winner and a loser. And I think LSU gets a revenge and payback on Florida State and beats Florida State here in week one. And then the next game after that is Grambling State. This is blowout city territory. I don't need to spend too much time on Grambling State. LSU gets a win here. The next game on LSU's schedule is a road game against Mississippi State to open up SEC conference play. And like I've done covered this a couple times already, if not a few times. The world lost, or the college football world lost a legend and Mike Leach, and it was a very sad passing for the Mississippi State community and for the college football community. So Mississippi State promoted their defensive coordinator to head coach. The defensive coordinator already done said they're not running an air raid system. Will Rogers comes back for Mississippi State, but Will Rogers is also not going to be throwing the ball around 50, 60 times consistently per game. And I just think Mississippi State this year is going to be probably the worst team in the SEC West. There's not a lot of optimism there. So, therefore, I think LSU gets a win on the road against Mississippi State. And then the next game after that is a home game with Arkansas. Now, if you watched this game last year, this game was like watching paint dry with hot sauce in your eyes. It was just infuriatingly bad for both sides of the ball. At least with Arkansas, they were playing with a backup quarterback. There was no excuse with LSU. They still had their starting quarterback and all that. They were very fortunate that LSU won that game and Arkansas didn't beat them, because Arkansas probably should have beaten them as bad as LSU played that game. And KJ Jefferson comes back for Arkansas. Unfortunately, Arkansas lost everything else. They through the transfer portal, through coaching changes. They're basically overhauling the team this year. And like Mississippi State, there's not a lot of optimism with Arkansas. I think Arkansas is going to be fighting for bowl eligibility this year. So I think LSU is going to get a win here at home. And I hope this game is more entertaining than it was last year. So give LSU the win over Arkansas. Next game on the schedule for LSU is going to be a road trip to Ole Miss. Last year, this game, it wasn't even close with the final box score. Ole Miss jumped out to an early lead, and just after that, LSU was just unstoppable on offense. Ole Miss could not stop LSU. Now, this being a road game in Ole Miss, I feel like this is going to be a game where LSU is going to struggle on offense, or defense is going to struggle. Either one. I think Ole Miss is going to capitalize on it and give LSU a loss here. So give LSU their first loss of the season at the hands of Ole Miss. And then after that, they go on the road again. This time they're playing Missouri. And Missouri has always been a 6-6 team under Drinkwitz. And this is entering his fourth season now. He's been at that 500 mark. And I think with Arkansas, I think Missouri's going to be fighting for bowl eligibility this year. There's just not a lot of optimism, and I need to be I need to be shown wrong. Missouri has a lot of potential. It's just they got to get the pieces together. I think LSU gets a win here on the road against Missouri. Next game on the schedule for LSU is a home game with Auburn. Now, Auburn this year, I think, is going to be more improved this year than they were last year, as they fired Brian Harsin and brought in Hugh Freeze. Now, if this game was at Auburn, I would pull the upset off for Auburn, but since it's a road game, I also don't think Hugh Freeze has the quarterback quite yet to run that offense that he likes to run, that he's bringing over from Liberty. Now, Hugh Freeze was at Ole Miss, and he got caught cheating pretty much, and got blackballed, and he went down a road to redemption through Liberty, and now he's back at Auburn. I think LSU gets the win here against Auburn. Now, and the next game is a home game against Army. Now, this game can be pretty tricky. Now, this game can be tricky for LSU, because you don't play a triple option offense every week. In fact, very rarely you play triple option offense. And Army loves to run the ball, chew clock, get points, and play defense. Uh, I think LSU would be built to stop the run. The question is, can their offense uh, help them out? Because Army, like I said, Army loves to hold on to the ball and chew clock. I do think LSU gets a win here, but it's going to be a close win regardless against Army. It's just how Army is. They either will lose very close or win by very close. There's very rarely Army or teams like Army get blown out or on the other end of blowouts. So I think LSU gets a win here. The next game on the schedule for LSU is probably their biggest game of the season, and that is a road trip to Alabama. Now, last year, this game was a great game. This was a close game all the way down to the end. LSU ended up winning that game in overtime, as a matter of fact. And this year, LSU is going to have to go to Alabama. Now, this probably is going to be a close game once again. My main concern about Alabama is they got a ton of questions on offense, and it doesn't seem to me that there's a lot of confidence with the offense right now. And I think Nick Saban's kind of alluding to wanting to go back to running the rock, getting points and playing defense and winning games like 24-14, them type of games instead of being in shootouts all the time. And I just don't trust the Alabama offense. I think LSU is going to pull out a close win in Tuscaloosa and beating Alabama. Now, the next game after that Alabama game is a home game with Florida. And this game last year, it wasn't really even that close. Scoreboard might indicate differently, but it was just an embarrassment by Florida. Even this was a home game for Florida last year, and LSU just dominated them. This year, this is a home game for LSU, and I think Florida is going to be worse this year than they were last year because Anthony Richardson's off to the NFL draft, and who they got to replace Anthony Richardson? Not only, but Graham Mertz, the guy that costed the Wisconsin head coach his job. Yeah. Good luck, Florida. Anyways, I think LSU gets the win over Florida at home. The next game on LSU's schedule is a home game with Georgia State. This is blowout city once again. I think LSU wins by 40, 50 points. No need to spend more time on this team. And then the final game on the schedule is a home game with Texas A&M. Now, last year this was the most shocking loss, not only for LSU but for the entire SEC. Texas A&M ended up beating LSU at home by two to three touchdowns, something like that. They basically beat the brakes off of LSU, and Texas A&M was a laughingstock of the SEC last year at 5-7. This year, this game is at home for LSU, and I think LSU is pretty bitter about that loss, and therefore I think LSU is going to take care of business and get payback against Texas A&M by beating Texas A&M at home to close out the season and probably win the SEC West. So that wraps up the 2023 schedule prediction for LSU. As you can see on the screen, I am predicting LSU to go 11-1, which would be an improvement from last year. So don't worry, LSU fans. It's not saying that you're going to do worse. Just me saying that you're actually going to do better and probably be in the running for a playoff spot going into the conference championship week. Now, with LSU, there's just not a lot of spots that you can say that they definitely can lose, and plus, in college football, it is extremely hard for teams to go 12-0. Even the most talented teams trip up one week and lose. Not justifying losing. Everybody wants to go 12-0, including LSU, but it just happens from time to time. Anyways, I think the ceiling for LSU is obviously 12-0. They beat everybody on the schedule and go to the SEC title game. Now, the floor for LSU this year, I think the floor for them is at 9-3. Like, I could definitely see them losing to Florida State. I could definitely see them losing to Alabama. And then the third loss, you could pick between Army, Ole Miss, or Texas A&M. Any one of those three that it could potentially beat them. Uh, anyways, if you enjoyed the content, like and subscribe to the channel. I kind of put the schedule predictions off for a little bit. I took a couple days of break from the schedule predictions due to the news of Colorado going to the Big 12. If you like that, probably will start doing those type of videos more rather than these schedule predictions. I still probably will do these schedule predictions up until college football kickoff. So, but I may do more of these like breaking news type of deals where I post a video about this, that, and the other is doing this, that. Like for example, the Colorado video and me giving my opinion on who won and lost out of that, and making a video about what Pac-12 should do next. So if you like that kind of content, let me know in the comments, either in those videos or over here. I mean, it doesn't really matter. All I'm trying to do is give my fans and my audience what they want. So if you enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. I try to post every day, if not every other day. I'm trying to keep a schedule going to give people the latest content. All the likes and comments and subscribes goes a long way, and I appreciate the positivity, the likes and all that. It goes a long way even for a channel this size. I mean, it helps me get me motivated to make more content, because I know everybody spends their valuable time watching me, so I feel obligated to give you guys more content if you're willing to spend your valuable time listening to me and subscribing to the channel and liking the video. So like always, if you appreciate the content, subscribe to the channel, like the videos if you want to. Until next time, thank you for watching.